whatnot. And I met a lot of other coaches out there that were absolutely amazing, but they were making no money, especially on retreats. Yeah. Like they were breaking even. And I was like, how is this possible? Right. And I realized that coaches do not run their businesses like a business in general, especially when you're starting
Mm.
up. You're just trying to survive.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7 and 8 figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Kevin, and today we are joined by Leni Cavazos. She's been a coach, depending on if you ask her, she's been a coach for 5.5 years or 11 plus years. I'll have her talk about that on the podcast. She is the founder of We Summit. Welcome, Leni.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we're talking about pre-podcast about what you do. You're talking about like speaking, we're talking about retreats, we're talking about your coaching history. One of the things that I'm always curious about is your origin story, because you're saying, hey, I've been coaching for 11 years, like kind of 5.5 years. I would love to hear the origin story, right? Like you could have been a sushi chef, you could have been a professional bowler, but you chose coaching. So how did you get into this business?
Oh my gosh, how did I get into this business? Well, it's actually a very interesting story, right? So I started doing events since I'm 15 years old. Yeah. So I've loved events since forever. I started even before that when I used to bake cakes and invite my friends over. But I was doing events, right? Like yes, like it's been part of my life. When I was in college, I already had a business. I had a catering business. And then once I
Mhm.
finished college, I really wanted to go and explore the world, right? I was like, oh my gosh, where can I go and just experience everything? And I studied restaurant management by then, right? So I said, where is the best, the biggest, the best of everything in the world for hospitality? And I was like, well, Dubai seems to be it. So I packed my bags and I moved myself to Dubai. So hello, Middle East. This comes this blunt Mexican, right? Arriving to the Middle East, and I was working at the Ritz Carlton first, and I started actually training people there, right? So 6 months into the role,
Oh,
I became the trainer for for some of the restaurants. So I started coaching
wow.
people there. And then I moved to food and beverage marketing inside of the Ritz-Carlton as well. And funnily enough, right? So I'm bringing in here how like I've been coaching for so long, but really not officially coaching as a bit like as a my own business, right? It was part of my role. And
Mhm.
I was training all the hostesses and coaching them so they could get promotions, so they could get better, they could get salary increases. So it was part of a, a personal choice to do this. This was not actually part of my role, because what I
Mhm.
wanted to do is I wanted to create opportunities for more women to grow and expand and build their businesses and their
Mm.
lives. Long story
Yeah.
short, after that, I was like, where is my next step? And I always wanted to work for Marriott's corporate office. It was one of the
Yeah.
things that I said when I started college. I was like, well, I would really like to work for Marriott's corporate office. So I applied for a job and I got it. So I went
Mm.
there and I was part of the team that launched Marriott Bonvoy, the loyalty program for Middle East and Africa.
Oh,
Yes, have you heard of Marriott Bonvoy?
I'm a titanium member. I stayed at a hotel like for 30 days in a row this last summer. And just a comment on the Ritz Carlton training. I know it's pretty intense because I was chopping it up with the staff there all the time and they're always talking about that. So it goes to your accolades. Yes, I do know about Marriott Bonvoy, to answer your question.
So hello, now you know someone who was part of the team that did all the events in Middle East to launch the program.
That's so cool.
Yes. Since you're a titanium member, right? I
Mhm.
know you know that you can go with points to different experiences and whatnot, right? Like
Mhm.
Formula One races and private dinners and all this amazing different things that you can do with your points besides free nights, right? Like there's this whole campaign behind it. And I was part of the team that actually did events for Titanium and Ambassador members in different parts of
Oh.
the world. So actually, I did a dinner in front of the Giza pyramids. That was so much fun.
Mm.
And we
Wow.
did, yeah, and we did a dinner in the summer palace of the King of Saudi Arabia. And we
Wow.
invited, like our top members from Saudi Arabia. We did an immersive dinner of Alice in Wonderland in Qatar, like a couple of years before the World Cup.
Mhm.
So anyway, I was living the life. Don't get me wrong, right? Like meet and greets with Craig David. I was running multi-million dollar marketing campaigns, like massive. Yeah. And then of
Yeah.
course the pandemic hit and then everyone got into this space of having time to reflect, right? Like what do I want from
Hmm.
this life? And I
Yeah.
realized that I was making a lot of money for other people. That as much as I loved the benefits of being a Marriott employee, because honestly the benefits like the room rates for hotels were the best, it
Mhm.
was no longer enough for me.
Mm.
So I moved myself back to Mexico right after 7 years living in the Middle East. And I went into this journey of figuring out what I wanted to do. So I started attending retreats. Yeah. And I started
Wait, can I
attending,
ask you a quick question?
yeah, go for it.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but you said it was no longer enough for me. What was missing? What do you feel like was missing at that time?
Well, I think for me, it was this. I came to this realization, right? Okay, so we all have limiting beliefs in our lives and we have to go work through them, right? So when I grew up, there was sometimes a lot of money, sometimes there was no money, right? It was very much like a
Mm.
roller coaster. So I wanted
Mm.
safety. And for me, a 9 to 5 job meant safety, right? That's, if I thought about it,
Mm.
that was what like the equal of safety meant. Now, when the pandemic happened, it opened up my eyes to really realize that there is nothing really safe, right? Like your 9 to 5 job,
Mm.
like just because you get a regular paycheck, is not that safe anyway. So it really opened
Mm.
up my eyes into this space of
I
like,
see.
well, I need to be the owner of my actions. I need to be the owner of what happens in my life. I need to be responsible for myself in a sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because also I'm guessing the context here too is like hospitality was really hit during COVID,
Yeah, there was
if
no
I remember
business,
correctly, right?
nothing.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
the job, like they reformatted the job descriptions and whatnot because of
Hmm.
everything that was happening. And all the fun stuff was
Hmm.
taking out of the budget. So I was like, well, do I really want to be just doing the boring
Mm.
stuff? I was like, no.
I see.
I
I see.
I cannot, I can't. It's not part of of who I am and what I want to build for my life. But really, it was no longer enough for me to just uh, rely on someone else for my success, for my
Mhm.
income. I knew I had big dreams, right? I was doing all this amazing, great big events, launching brands, right? Increasing revenue for companies. And I was like, well, if I could just take a cut of that for myself,
Mhm.
would that be possible?
Mm.
And I do like I come from a family of entrepreneurs, okay? I was the rare one that had a job.
Yeah.
You know,
You're the combo breaker.
most of the usually it's the other way around. Okay, so no, for me, like everyone in my family has been an entrepreneur for like since forever, and most of them, not everyone, right, have been very, very successful. So I had
Mhm.
like the example of people in my family showing me that I could do it if I wanted to. And then I came back to Mexico and I started attending retreats as personal healing, development, and whatnot. And I met a lot of other coaches out there that were absolutely amazing, but they were making no money, especially on retreats. Yeah. Like they were breaking even. And I was like, how is this possible? Right. And I realized that
Mm.
coaches do not run their businesses like a business in general, especially when you're starting
Mm.
up. You're just trying to survive. And I knew I could help people. I just knew it,
Mm.
like deep inside of me. I knew I just didn't need to do money for make money for myself. I could help others do
Yeah.
that for themselves too. And I really
Mm.
found my calling in that space.
It's really interesting because you're mentioning like, I've seen so many events and being in the marketing space and stuff like I hear so many people they either break even with their events or they lose money on their events and they try and monetize on the back end. What's something that you feel like people kind of I don't want to say get wrong, but kind of like the biggest air quotes mistakes people make when hosting events?
Well, the first of all, very, very, well, I usually see three main mistakes when it comes to events. First of
Okay.
all, your concept is not enticing enough, right? Like your messaging is not enticing enough, and people get confused. So if I invite you to, like, hey, Kevin, you want to come have tea with me so you feel more enlightened? Are you going to come?
Personally, I would because I'm into like that self actualization. But yes, I get the whole yeah. But yes,
Right. But if I tell you, hey,
yes.
Kevin, let's just drink some tea so we can figure out exactly what are the steps you need in order to get enlightened.
Mm.
It's the
A little
same
bit more
thing, right?
enticing.
It's the same goal, it's the same purpose, but it has a clear path, a clear progression.
Yeah, I
So
see.
what most people get wrong is not having a clear messaging, right? Like not solving one problem. They have 3,000 tools, right? They take all the trainings, they sign up for all the coaching, group coaching programs. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, they're necessary, but not all of them, right? They sign up for everything. So they have a tool, like I call it, it's like the tool belt. Like if you were a carpenter and you have your tool belt and then it's
Yes.
overwhelmed and there's so many things going on. But we forget that the tools are meant for a result, right? People don't hire the carpenter because of the tools that they're going to use. They hire them because they want a new chair, they want a new desk.
Mm, mm, that makes sense.
So if you're selling, you're going like, hey, I'm a carpenter and I have this and I have this tool and this tool and this tool and this tool. Do people really care?
Yeah, that is
I
true.
don't. Can you fix my problem? Yes or no?
Mm,
Simple, right? Like
mm,
I love to
mm,
simplify things in both of my businesses because we
mm.
like to overcomplicate ourselves.
Yeah,
So that's the
I can
number
see
one.
that.
The second
Mhm.
mistake I see, and my favorite, is pricing. They price it all wrong.
Nice.
They do not run the numbers. They do not know how much the event is going to cost them. They do not have a tiered
Mhm.
pricing. So there is, the closer to the date people buy, the more they have to pay. They just think, oh,
Mhm.
I'm going to promote it for 6 months, and people are just going to buy in the beginning, at the middle, at the end, at the same price point. I do not need to make any pressure. They have no follow up game, right? And this moves us to mistake three, that is not
Mhm.
having a sales strategy. Forget about a marketing strategy, a sales strategy. How are you going to sell that event?
Mm.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I love the back end sales. It's so important. So, Christy, the co-founder of We Summits with me, we attended this event. It was called a $1 million Room in Laguna Beach. Beautiful
Mhm.
event in the sense of the dinners, right? The details, absolutely everything. And we spoke on stage because this is what we do, right? We speak on stages and we create stages for people, for coaches who want to sell their products, and we bring a ready to buy audience. But we also leverage other people's audiences, right? So we
Mhm.
went to this event, and the people in the audience, absolutely amazing, great people. But then the
Mm.
event, the cost of the event, I don't even know how much it cost, but it was high end, right? Like they really went all out. And then they had
Yeah.
their upsell behind the scenes that, if I can be honest, I am pretty sure that was what was, like, the main purpose of, like, creating the revenue from that upsell. But then there
Mhm.
was no urgency, there was no scarcity, there was nothing that actually made people move and actually buy.
Mm.
So that's not a proper sales strategy, right? So you need to make money on the front end and make money on the back end. You
Mm.
cannot just
So
rely on
rather than
a dealer.
So rather than being an or, like, oh yeah, like I think most business owners they would probably ask, hey, Lenny, like, what do I do? Do I make money on the front end or back end? It's a probably and not an or then, from what it
Yes, it's
sounds
an
like.
and.
Is that right?
Yes.
Uh,
Because you need to protect your
okay.
business.
Mm-hmm.
You need to protect your business. Like there is no other way around it. From the
Mm,
sense of what if something happens and you don't have any like safety net because you
mm-hmm.
did everything exactly to the, to the cost, because you're then relying on people actually converting. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people convert in in-person events. It is something that can really
Yeah.
happen very, very well. It's a great
Yeah.
strategy. Like personally, I love it. But what I
Mm,
would say in this space is that when we're thinking about it, right, and we're really considering our business like a business,
mm-hmm.
I have this exercise that I love to teach in some of my master classes and with my clients. Is I
Mm-hmm.
tell them, like, my let's drop into a corporate office just for a second. So if you had your project, right, you have your spreadsheet and you have your cost and you have your everything, and then I want them to, I ask them to imagine, and anyone who's listening to this, you can just do this for yourself as, kind of like play with it a little bit. It's just a great simple exercise. And then if you ever had a job in an office or someone, just imagine that in front of you is sitting, the worst boss that you ever had, the one that was really like
Yeah.
the hardest boss on you, the one that questioned
Yeah.
your decisions, and then
Mm-hmm.
present your imaginary project or your
Mm,
actual project to that person. And what
yeah.
would that person say to you? Would they tell you go
Mm,
ahead, or would they tell you go back to the drawing board?
mm,
That is your compass.
mm.
If if an office, a business would not approve this project, neither should you, as long as, of course, you're
I
doing
like.
your business like a business.
I'm just writing it down. Yeah, that makes sense. I love that. It was so good that I'm actually writing that down.
Yay.
Okay.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. And so one of the things I'm very curious. Okay, so clearly, there's a gap in the market with like hosting events and stuff like that. But how do people tend, let's fast forward to today, how do people kind of find you these days? Like, what does your marketing look like, or your top funnel marketing kind of look like? Are you doing mostly content marketing? Kind of curious about that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yes, great. So I am a fan of speaking on stages and borrowing people's
Mm,
audiences, and I create my
mhm.
own audiences as well. I kind of believe like ebooks and, lead magnets are great to have, but they're kind of dead. Like if
Yeah,
anyone,
no
like,
one wants another PDF.
yes, if you really think about it, the last time you got a lead magnet, and I do get a lot of lead magnets on my own, just to like, I'm always running market research. Like I have a marketing background. Like I cannot help myself. I need to see what's out there, right? Like the book that I have on my desk is This is Marketing, right? This is exactly like what I
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
like next
I
to
have
me.
that book over there
See?
by Seth Godin.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you're running marketing, you need to like hear this man, right? Here, like anyway. So what we do in this in this space is, yes, ebooks. Think about it. Last time you picked one up, did you actually really read it, or you just scanned through it? Your audience is
Yeah.
probably doing the same unless they're highly, highly interested. So as much as I do believe that you still need to have it, it's necessary for your business, is
Mhm.
not everything anymore. You cannot just
Mm,
rely on your funnel, free, low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket, because there is what we call trust crisis happening right now. People have been burnt because there's a lot of coaches out there promising things that they cannot deliver. Like over promising and under delivering, it's a big thing in the market right now. And people
mm,
feel cheated. So, how do we surpass the problem of trust? We need to create
Mm,
content where people can actually get to connect with you, right? So live experiences where you can listen to people, and live can be online, yeah, is the perfect way. So, for example, for me, I go and I speak in other people's summits. I do choose which ones I do and I don't based on the audience, based on the topic that I want to cover.
mhm,
I do that. And then from there, I take people into a master class, like straight to a master class with me. That happens usually a couple of days after this appearance that I had on a summit, right? It's not 2 months in, it's just 1 week or maximum 2 weeks later. Why? Because
mm,
then they get to have more lifetime with me. So they signed up for the masterclass and they hang out with me for 4 hours. If you hang out with me for
mm,
4 hours, you will trust me because I'm going to give you so much. There's no other way. You
mhm,
can't. And if it's not enough for you at the moment and whatnot, then you don't book another call, another hour of time with me, right? FaceTime with Leni. Let's
mm,
call it that. Not enough, then I have my podcast, right? You're in my email list once a week. I drop a podcast episode. Sometimes have guest speakers. Sometimes it's me talking to myself, right? That's fun.
mhm,
And people come and you just listen to me, and then you get more hours of content with me. But
mm,
this is all about creating deeper connections. This is really my goal. It's about creating connections because that's what we're lacking. Someone who tells you, "Hey, I see you. You're not just
mm,
another number. I see you." And it's
mm.
a huge difference. A huge, huge difference.
I do want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Um, so it sounds like you're doing virtual summits, you're speaking, you invite people to this masterclass, right?
Mhm.
4 hours is quite a while, right? It's a quite a bit of a commitment with someone. So
I
how
have
do
an
you, what
80%
is
retention rate.
80% rejection rate?
Yeah.
Oh, what's your
Is
messaging
that
in
good?
terms of like getting what is your messaging in terms of like the in terms of the masterclass, I guess, for 4 hours? What's like the
Well, I
outcome? I
teach
know
them.
that you're talking about outcome, right? Yeah,
Yes. So let's talk. I'll give you the example of like the one for my business for retreats, right? So it's called
sure.
sold out and profitable retreats because you do need, everyone wants sold out retreats, but honestly, you need them to be profitable. Sold out, it's kind of irrelevant.
Uh-huh.
And in that masterclass, you come and I teach this system. I actually don't have a copy of my book right here with me. I should, but I have a book that is about the six-figure retreat business, right? So it's a system. So I
Mhm.
teach this a system inside of it. And you go through the
I
process and
see.
we run your numbers. Like I take almost like a lot of like I'll take at least 4 or 5 people. They'll give me their numbers and I'll show them how they can actually have that business. And usually people tell me, I want to make a $500,000 per year. I want to make $1 million per year with this business. And I'll
Mm,
show them how it is possible with what they want, with how many retreats they want to do, what is their price point that they need to do it. We look at,
mm,
they also tell me what they do, what they not don't. If I tell, like, if it's not very specific enough for the price point that they need to do, I'll tell them. You need to become more
mm,
specific. You need to become an expert on one field, solve one problem. So it's a very
mhm,
hands-on masterclass where people get to see what is possible for them. And usually
mm.
after that masterclass, half of the people who are still like, half of the people who ended up all the way to the end, they all book a call with me to then hire me for my services.
Let's talk about that for a second. So
Yeah.
people are raising their hands. They're probably like, Lenny, what does a coaching engagement look like? How do I work with you? Right. And so I'm kind of curious, like, what are your different offerings and stuff? I know people have one-on-ones, they have group trainings, but what have you gravitated to?
Well, I gravitate towards group coaching and mastermind. I do
Okay.
one-on-one. My one-on-one starts at 15,000. Um,
Mm,
and it goes up higher depending on what they need. And the moments when I offer 101 is when I see that they have something so specific that we need to create a very, very unique business model. Or
Mhm.
those who are like, Lainey, I just can't wait. I don't want to do it on my own,
Mm.
right? Like, I know this is what I want to do. They're extremely certain. They have everything that it takes. And they're like, let's just do it, right? And then that's when the one-on-one come. But it's basically, it's usually my last offer. Before
Mm.
that is my group coaching programs where like it starts at 10,000 all the way to 20, and that one, like the one with 20, includes a behind the scene of me like running a retreat, so they get to see how you plan it and whatnot. So it's kind of um like a reality TV show. I don't know, I always dreamt of like having someone following me through life with a camera and just recording everything, so I just made it
Like right.
without needing to, get um, a TV, a TV channel to produce it or anything. But basically, they
Yeah.
get to hang out with me behind the scenes and like in the process of putting together a retreat. So it's a lot of
Mm.
fun. And the last one that I have is my VIP days. And this ones, they come to Mexico and they hang out with me for 3 days. That also starts at around $10,000. And for that one that's when someone is like, Lainey, I want this yesterday.
Mm.
Right? So everything is every like the choice on where in which area, right? Where do they fall inside of my business? It really has to do
Mm.
with their business goals. It doesn't have to do with me. See the difference? Like it's not about me, it's about
Mm.
them. About how fast do they
Mm.
need to make the shifts, how fast do they need to make the changes, and the reality of how much time does it take to implement. Someone who comes for my VIP
Mm.
days, they have a very successful business on their own and they're just adding retreats. It's in addition to their
Yeah.
already successful business. So we can do it in 2 days and be like, okay, this is concept, this is business model, this is how you add it into your ecosystem. Off you go. Someone who's
Mm.
starting needs to learn a lot more about business. So they
Mm.
need more time. And that's usually where the group
I see.
coaching programs is like the best place to start.
Yeah. Something I noticed, we were talking about this pre-podcast, so I'm not surprised. You're very comfortable about talking about numbers, and something that I see a lot of coaches struggle with is something like pricing, right? Because they think about like, oh my God, what do I charge? How do I package this, right? And so, how do you think about how did your pricing come to fruition, right? You clearly have these set prices that you kind of mentioned, right? But I'm sure it wasn't your day one prices. How did that evolve over time?
Oh yeah. So, well, first of all, I'll tell you the story. It's a kind of funny, not funny story. But so when I started my business, right, when I decided I was gonna do this, right, like for real, when I was like,
Yeah.
yes, this is what I want, right, like I'm stepping all in, I'll like invest in the coaches, invest in the systems, and everything that I need. Um, I I just I ran my numbers, okay? So I ran my numbers
Mhm.
based on my capacity to have clients, like one-on-one clients. I wanted to like, I actually had like 1 month of one-on-one clients. And then after that, I launched group coaching because I was like, no, I need group coaching in my life. It's just so much more fun. People tell you you have to do it this way. I'm like, no, right? I had one-on-one client that just showed up in my life and said like, hey, can I hire you? I said like, okay. But when I ran my numbers, uh, I just sat down and I thought about my capacity. I thought about my business goals, my financial goals, and I was like, how can I reach that if I were just to do just one-on-one coaching? And I did the same with
Mm.
group coaching, like a separate thing. So if I just wanted to do one-on-one coaching and that was the only thing that I focused my energy on, how much money would I need to
Mm.
charge per hour in order to get those results based on how many clients I could take, the lifestyle that I wanted to live, the holidays that I wanted to take, and my initial number for one-on-one consultations, it was $300 an hour,
Oh
and that
wow.
was in packages. But that was my starting
Mhm.
point, right? And I see a lot of coaches out there that start at $75, and I'm like, how? Like how? Like, right? For me, 300 was low. When I ran my numbers, I was like, well, this feels a little
Mm.
bit low. But I was also going through the process, like, is there someone who's gonna pay for this? So anyway, I was like, okay, fine. And I spoke to my mom, my brother, and they're entrepreneurs. Well, they're business people actually, not even entrepreneurs anymore. And they have successful business. And then they asked me, like, Lainey, who's gonna pay for that? And I sat there
Mm.
for a second, right? It was a hard question, right? Like, who's gonna pay for that? And I
Mm.
was like, well, I don't know, but someone will. And
Mm.
since then, I've never dropped my prices, like never. And
Mm.
every year they get increased, right? Like I mentioned, my prices right now, we're in 2025, 2026. Anyone who comes talk to me, the prices will be higher. Life is more expensive. I need to
Yeah.
charge more. It's just logical. It's not about anything. It's just there's inflation, right? Like rises of cost of living, everything. So your business needs to represent that. So
Mm.
nowadays, you will not get a hang of me for less than $1,000 an hour. And
Mm.
honestly, I really rarely do that.
Mm.
I rarely like because 1 hour with me it will be amazing, but I mean 1 hour with me for some of my clients represents additional $24,000 in their bank account. So you know what I mean? Like the return of investment is amazing. Yes, you do want to have 1 hour with me, but you're better off spending a couple of months with me because you're not going to make $24,000. We're going to build up you a business that is going to make you multiple six figures throughout the years. I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Hello.
I'm here.
Can
Can
you
you
hear
hear
me?
me? Yeah.
Oh my God.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Riverside's crashing right now on my end. Okay, cool. Now it's back. Perfect. Yes. Yeah, it's really interesting because what you're doing, it's not just like a outcome, like a financial gain from your services and stuff. If you're teaching people how to be more profitable with their events, that totally makes sense. Um, One of the things I am very, very curious about too, sounds like what you do is quite a bit of work. Do you currently have a team helping you behind the scenes, or are you kind of
Yeah.
solo right now?
Oh no, I have a team for sure. I do like to be the front face of my business for many things. So like if you like when
Mhm.
you emailed me for to be here, I replied myself. Now,
Mhm.
my team goes through my emails
Oh,
and
okay.
then right? And they will tell me, "Hey, Lainey, this one looks worth it." And then they have filters. So the ones are, like I get invitations to be in a lot of podcasts, and sometimes I get people who want to be on my podcast, and they'll come and they'll be like, "Hey, I have this
Mm.
carpenter who would be an amazing podcast guest." That one is immediately discarded, right? And my team already knows what to reply.
Yeah.
They ask them, do they have experience hosting retreats or
Mm.
events or something? And then if
Mhm.
they don't reply back, right, or they say no, well, then this is not. So there's
Mm.
filters and processes. But I do like to be the forward face of my business, even though I do have a team.
Mhm.
Just because, I mean, it's part of my loyalty marketing background, right? It's all about creating connections and building
Mhm.
systems. So I have a person who is in charge of all like the CRM. I have someone who is in charge of my podcast, right, and the emails that go out there. I'm always we're right now we're interviewing new people for content management because it's a thing, and we have not found someone we like love, right? So
Yeah.
but we are in that space. I have an ads person, right? So I do run ads for my business. I have a person who's in charge of my
Nice.
ads because guess what? I've run multi-million dollar ads campaigns. I do not want to become the expert on ads and have to keep track of everything that is changing every single day.
Yeah.
It is not worth
Yeah.
my time.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that makes sense. And I love to hear like, the behind the scenes that you're not alone because, the level of work that you provide seems quite intimate. And so I was very, very curious about the team size and stuff. And it's kind of cool to see what you're currently hiring for, like a content person and all that. Which leads me to my next question too. I'm very curious about Lainey. I'm really curious about your future goals. Like, so where do you kind of want this coaching business to take you in the next few years? Do you have like desires to scale? Do you want to hire more? Do you have secret dreams no one knows about? We'd love to kind of hear that.
Oh my
From
God, yes. I have so many, like, there's so many, many goals. Some of them have been coming to fruition in 2025 and are coming already in 2026. So that's amazing. So
Yeah.
basically, in
Yeah.
the retreat, like in the retreat space, and it's everything is like both my businesses are connected, right? So I have my retreat coaching business, and then we have the We Summit company that is selling from stage, where we create stages for people to come and sell their services. But now
Mhm.
in 2026, we're having one that is for people to come and sell from stage, but the topic is all about retreats, and we're actually running it in Mexico. So that's going to be absolutely
Nice.
amazing. We have goals of tripling the size of the audience that we had this year. We had it in October. It was in San Diego. Um,
Hmm.
Amazing people coming into the room and into this space. So we
Nice.
are so excited about that one. We are gonna do
Mm.
a couple more events about like women who sell, because a big part of our promises for our business is to get more women selling, because and coaches in general, right? Everyone needs to learn how to sell, because if you don't know how to sell, you might be the most amazing coach. You're not gonna change the world. You need to be
Yeah.
able to sell, right? So that is one of the things. Then definitely, I would say for bigger goals, I'm not thinking about, actually, I prefer small but mighty teams and working with agencies. So definitely
Mm.
PR agencies and marketing agencies are on the like bigger goals, but not direct
Hmm.
teams, team members, like a large team of, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
I've been in those roles, and it's a lot of management of people. And I mean, I love people, but
Mm.
I'd rather be doing what I love and have other people manage people.
Mm.
I mean, I've had
That
people
makes,
manage, right? But it makes
yeah.
sense, right? Like, I think you can have a very successful business without having a team of 100 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, what I find too is like there's people like, so people like you and me, I I'm not in love with managing people. That's not like my zone of genius, right? But then, as I've been hiring, I've been finding people who love that. They love like the whole management and all that. And I love hiring those people. I love sustaining those people's livings and stuff too. At least on my end there.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
And yeah. I think
Mhm.
one of my goals before was also publishing a book. I did that this year. So many things are like,
Congrats.
I really think that after your 5 year mark in your business, a lot of your goals come to fruition, and it's
Mm.
time to set new goals. And I'm in the process of setting all these new goals, but definitely large in
Mm.
person experiences. And um, just really, my big goal is to elevate the industry, the coaching industry. So
Mm.
there's bigger standards. People pay what it's supposed to be paid. I also believe that there's undercharging and then there's overcharging for services. So I know we've been talking a lot about pricing, and I mean, I told you I can speak about pricing for hours and hours. But another
Yeah.
thing that I see is people inflating their prices when what they're offering is not worth it, and people underpricing
Mm.
when what they're doing is so much worth it, and it is worth so much more than what they're pricing for, right? So like
Mm.
pricing in your coaching business is not just like like, it's not throwing confetti in the wind and being like, oh, because everyone else is charging this, so will I. No, you need to back it up in your results. Like I told you, in 1 hour with me, you can be making 24,000 additional dollars easy, right? Like that's the latest result that I had from one of my clients. 1 hour
Yeah.
in 1 week, additional $24,000, right?
Mm,
Someone could make 100. Like what I teach can make you
mm,
a lot of money behind the scenes. So when we really
mm,
think about this in this space, is you need to charge based on the results that you provide. And then you will
mm.
have a successful business. And then hire the
Yeah, you
team.
bring up. Oh, yeah. You bring up a really good point too, because some people just like price based off of just because I feel like it, and like
Yeah, I call it
I
the
think
angel numbers
the point that
technique.
you bring, the angel numbers technique.
Yeah.
You just
Four,
you're
four,
just like,
four.
oh yeah, I feel like 333. Yeah, like
People will
that's
buy
just like
because of it. No, they won't.
I know. Yeah, it's kind of manipulative too, but it's really interesting. I do want to ask you too, because I know we're coming out of time soon. We kind of have these highlight reels and stuff too. And if you're comfortable sharing, I guess like in this current season, in your business right now, what are some growing pains that you're kind of noticing? Is there anything unexpected? Because I think sometimes we see these highlight reels of a business, but what are some of the unglamorous stuff that you
Oh my
notice?
gosh. Well, like I'm being very honest about my business, okay? So I have two businesses and one is doing great, the other one is doing great, but like we have like 6-figure weeks and whatnot, but the expenses of running that business because it's the beginning is so much higher. So then I had different credit cards to pay for the business. And I was like, well, which one do I pay first? This and that. And I mean, it sounds silly, right? Like creating, having to like have a plan on like when do you pay one thing or, if you wait for one thing or the other and like really creating a strategy for your business. And it just got me so
Mhm.
worked out that for 3 days I really couldn't sleep. Yeah. So like
Oh
I was
wow.
like sleeping 3-4 hours a day. One day I went to bed at like 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. or something crazy. Um,
Yeah.
because I was just like my brain was so overwhelmed with thoughts. Another thing that has
Mm,
happened is like I am a very creative person, and that's why I love having clients because I can pour my creativity and give them ideas because if I have too many ideas, if I want to like do all of them,
mhm,
I won't, right? I won't do anything really like in excellence or to become extraordinary because I'm
mhm.
trying to do too much and
Yeah.
making those decisions, right? And saying, I call it the freezer, right? Like, what do I send to the freezer?
Mm,
It's always hard
yeah.
because there's like I have this one project, okay, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's for retreat centers because behind the scenes I also do consulting for retreat centers, but I don't really promote it. It's basically word of mouth, and it's not one of the things that I just talk very much out there. And I have this project that is
Mm,
gonna change the way retreat centers do business,
mm,
and I had to put it in on the freezer for a year, and it was hard.
mm,
Right. It's a project that I know is gonna like really elevate the industry. It's gonna change how they sell. It's just so
mhm,
it's powerful, it's great, but I had to make a business decision of like I did not have the capacity, the time, or the team to really pull it off properly.
mm.
And that was very hard because I'm so passionate about it, right? But I had to like hold my passion so I can actually serve people well. So I can do my like what the
Oh,
job that I'm doing, I do it properly.
yeah. It's so interesting because people feel like, oh yeah, I want to start a business to do whatever I want, and it's not necessarily like that all the time. Where you kind of built this huge, you've kind of built this business, and you kind of have to prioritize like which one do which one is the bigger priority, and I think that's the hard part sometimes too. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, I'm happy to share that. I mean, I could talk for a lot longer of the things, right? That don't work out, or when we hired a podcast production company.
Mm,
We spent months doing work. They were not doing what we wanted. We spent
mm,
so many hours putting back into the project, and then it just didn't work. And they just dropped us. They were like, well, too complicated to work with them. And I'm like, we're just asking for clear stuff and branding. That was
mm,
um, it is a lesson about, something I've learned in the process. And in this case, because I have a business partner, decisions sometimes take longer, but I am a person who like fires fast.
mm,
I had to learn it in like at the beginning stages of my business. I had two team members and they were barely doing what they were supposed to do.
mm,
At some point, someone was in charge of like Facebook and sending messages and whatnot. And their answer at one time, I was like, "You have not done this for 2 weeks." And they're like, "Well, I'm not feeling very connected to Facebook." And I'm like, "What do you mean you're not feeling connected to Facebook?" I'm finding resistance to doing the work. And I'm like, "Well, I am not paying you to find resistance." Right? And I had to like gently let them go.
go.
But I gave them extra time I gave them
Mm,
coaching, I spoke to them, I did everything. And I was like, no, you know what? When you know it's not right, you need to fire fast. And
mm,
that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned as well, because you can spend so much time trying to fix something that won't be fixed. And I'm not saying, don't look at everything and just try new people all the time, because that also takes investment in training and money and whatnot. But really,
mm,
like, see it from this space of I am wasting company resources if I
mm,
just keep people for the sake of being nice and being accepted and being loved.
mm. That's a great reminder, because whether you believe it or not, we're always in the people business. And like, sometimes our inner wounds, and this is probably getting a little like, because we could probably go on another hour about this,
Yeah.
but it bleeds into the business. I've noticed that with even myself too, like sometimes, like keeping people longer than they should. Man, this is such a great episode. I would love to go longer, but I know we're almost at time. So
We
I want
we
to
can do
ask
another
you
one another day.
for sure. Yeah, I'll ask my podcast manager if we can. Um, how do people find you and connect with you, Lenny?
Well, I would say the easiest way is to find me on Instagram at the Retreat Planner. That is the fastest way to connect with me. Or if you want to join my masterclass, just theretreatplanner.com/challenge. And
Mm,
then you can come hang out with me for 4 hours. Wouldn't that be amazing?
plenty of value in those 4 hours. I love that. You know, as I'm looking back at I'm not sure if you know, I used to be a drug dealer, so I have really bad handwriting. I used to be a pharmacist. So one of the things I just noticed is like, I love how you didn't talk about this explicitly, but I loved how your kind of corporate career back in the day kind of led to this business model. And just that self realization of a 9 to 5 meant safety to you, but then the whole COVID thing happened, led to this beautiful business model. And I can tell like all your knowledge that you learned through, your previous marketing career and all that and events career leads to this like huge events, like this huge business model, that where you're really impacting other coaches and all that as well. Anyways, and one last thing, I just love your transparency on your pricing and money and all that. And it just goes to show, like, thank you so much for just sharing your knowledge on this podcast. Thank you for the work that you do. Your work matters. And that's my long way of saying, hey, I appreciate you, Lenny, for coming on the podcast. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Kevin. This was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, You can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.